All right, so I made one video, but I was kind of on drugs when I did it. And so I just kind of wanted to go over my rotator cuff surgery. And when I knew when I had injured myself, I had a couple months to think about it, and I thought I was prepared. But one of the things I wasn't prepared for was what's actually going to happen. How is that surgery going to affect me? And you just don't really realize until you get it done. So for me, uh, I wrote down some notes here just to kind of like give you a heads up. So when you go to the doctor, what you're going to do is they're going to schedule you some appointments and that kind of stuff, and you're going to go see the doctor, and he's going to show you how you tore your rotator cuff, or what's going to happen, and we're going to cut here and cut there, and duct tape this together and so on. And then you're like, oh, okay, great, all's good. And then next thing you know, they're like, okay, well, you got surgery on this date. And that's pretty much where it kind of stopped. um, I didn't know enough to to ask the right questions to get the answers that I wanted. So if you don't know, you don't know what to ask. Um, so hopefully, when you go to the doctor, they'll give you probably maybe 50, 60%. So I highly recommend talk to somebody else that actually had the surgery, like somebody that's not on the doctor's perspective, but as the patient perspective. And they'll give you some tidbits of clues to help make things easier and how to get around, and they'll offer some help and stuff like that. For me, I was I'm single, so I don't have anybody that's coming over to stay with me or take care of me or anything like that. I do have a neighbor that I had asked to come over and kick me every now and then, just make sure I was alive, and he's been really, really, really helpful. So don't be too ashamed to ask somebody for help. I'm pretty independent, but after the first day or two, today is actually one, two, yeah, I'm about 48 hours after the surgery. Um, it's I'm realizing my limitations, and I thought I could handle a lot of stuff, but now I see that I couldn't. So, anyways, without further ado, these are the things that to expect once you get the surgery. You're going to talk to the doctor, and they're going to tell you to hydrate, or excuse me, you'll talk to the nurse, and then the nurse is going to tell you to hydrate, drink Gatorade, fast, and all that stuff. So follow all of that. I do recommend uh, the Gatorade. That seemed to help me pretty good. When I got to the clinic, I didn't have anybody to drive me, so I drove myself, but I did have somebody to pick me up. And that's one thing that they're kind of discouraged. They want the same person there when they drop you off and when you pick you up. But in all honesty, it's only important for them to pick you up because you can't drive anymore because you're on drugs after that. So you'd be impaired and get a DUI. But anyways, so you get to the hospital or the surgery center or whatever. They're going to ask you your name and birth date, what surgery is going to be done, and they're going to ask you that probably about 20 times. Like literally, what's your name, what's your birth date, what are you getting done? I guess they don't want to mess it up. So if they do, there's no excuses because you told them like 20 times. So anyways, you're going to meet the nurse, the anesthesiologist. They'll weigh you. They'll ask you about if you fasted, if you ate anything, if you drank anything, did you fast, did you eat anything, did you drink anything, did you fast, and I think they just want to make sure that they're going to give you the right doses of anesthesia. So kudos to them for being thorough. Next, they're going to tell you to change in a robe. So you're just going to strip down to your underwear, and then you'll put a robe on, and then they'll give you these leggings, these things right here, and these go all the way up to your crotch, and these are called compression socks. So they go all the way to right there, and they're really hard to get on, and with two arms. So I've just left them on the entire time because there's no way I could get them back over my legs with just one arm. So I just keep readjusting the end so that it doesn't cut off my circulation at that one spot the entire time. Let's see. Also, they're going to tell you to put on a hairnet. I'm bald. I'm clean shaven. I don't know why I had to wear a hairnet, but they said it was protocol, so I wore a hairnet. Next, they're going to go and give you some plasma cuffs, which are these things right here. These are, or excuse me, plasma flow cuffs, and these go over your calves like this, and it's got a battery inside, and what it does is, hold on. And what it does is it goes around your calf, and then it just constricts, and it does it with air pressure. So there's a little pump in there. It pumps up, and it constricts your calves and promotes good blood flow through your legs, so you don't get any clots. They're actually kind of cool, but just be aware. The lights on this, hold on, turn it on, are insanely bright. They're like 500 lumens, no kidding. So it's not that important right now as you're going into the surgery, but later when you get home, you'll definitely notice them. All right, next the nurse is going to give you an IV, and then the anesthesia is going to start feeding you drugs through that IV. He's going to say, this is this drug, and this is what it does. This is this drug, this is what it does. And they just keep sticking it into the IV. And I think there's like three, maybe 4 that they put in there. And but you won't care. So the anesthesia is going to be asking you questions while you're going through that. And as they're administering the drugs, they're going to be talking to you, and they're going to be asking questions. And basically, I think it's just to gauge your level of responsiveness of when the drug actually kicks in. I don't think they really care, honestly, what you're saying. They just want to, see when you pass out. So for me, when I got the drug in the IV, I don't know which one it was, but all of a sudden I just started feeling faint. It was like my breathing seemed shallow. They got the oxygen tube, and I'm like, oh, well, I can feel the oxygen flowing, but it just felt like I was about to pass out. And they're like, oh, yeah, your count's like 100 or some 40, and the next thing I know, I was out. And I was like, oh, okay. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know I was out. I just knew that I was waking up after the surgery. So when you wake up after the surgery, you'll be all groggy, and you're going to feel, well, I felt nauseous, and that was from the anesthesia. I asked to stay on the IV a little longer because it had the nausea meds in it. It helped me out because initially it was, I don't know, it just seemed like they were trying to rush me out. Now, my concept of time is much different than what their concept of time was. So, to me, it seemed like everything was happening super fast, but I think for them, they're just doing work, business as usual, nothing special. My vision was off, so I had one pupil was dilated and the other one was constricted, and so I couldn't see far things or far away things like the clock on the other wall, but I could read I could recognize the handwriting or the print, the type on my nurse's necklace, like, just right there. So, but for me, I have like really good vision, so when I can't see clear, it threw me off, and I was getting kind of dizzy from my eyes trying to focus back and forth, trying to see something far and then see something close, and I just couldn't do it. So when I woke up, I was actually pretty lucid, and I was asking a lot of questions. I noticed that the room was super bright when I got in, and that was probably just because my eye was dilated. I was pretty disoriented, and I was trying to take in like all of the surroundings, like focus, and I just couldn't do it, and it was making me sick focusing. I don't know, if you've ever been scuba diving and you go through like when there's a mixture of fresh water and salt water, you know, it's like blurry and your eyes try and see through it, it'll give you a headache. So that was kind of what I was getting, and it was also making me sick. So like I said, I wanted to stay on the IV just a little longer until, you know, my body kind of stabilized out. They're gonna just take you off of it unless you ask. So if you're feeling sick, just stay on the IV a little longer. I mean, you paid for it anyway, might as well enjoy it, you know. As I started to come to, I started feeling a little better, and then they started unhooking me and all of that. But when they started rolling me over from, I was still on the gurney, and they were rolling me over into the waiting room, and it was just, everything was happening so fast. The lights were going past my eyes, and you know, I was just getting sick again, laying on the gurney, and you know, so I had to tell him, you know, like, look, stop, you know, just slow down, you know, roll me slower, because you know you're gonna make me throw up. And yeah, it was just weird getting motion sickness, and they were just walking, but my concept of time and how my brain was able to process everything was so much slower, you know. So she slowed down, and it helped out quite a bit. And so once they got there to the waiting room where my friend was picking me up, they transferred me over to a chair, and I just hung out there. They went over a whole bunch of instructions, and they're like, okay, take this at this time, take this at that time, da 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 da. I'm not going to remember any of it. So that's why they want somebody else there to remember for you, because yeah, I don't really remember a whole lot of what was said, to be honest. I just know that I was there, I was feeling sick. They gave me some cranberry juice and some cookies. I think that's what I asked for. And then I started getting sick again, and then they have these throw-up bags right here, which are pretty easy to use one-handed. I say that now. But it has a little lip, so you can throw in there. And then it's also clear, so you can see what you threw up. Make everybody else sick. So, anyways, actually I never ended up throwing up, but I did keep it just in case. So after that, then your ride is going to go and take you to whatever pharmacy you go pick up your drugs. The hospital is going to call them in, and then usually it'll take, whoever goes with you is going to put in the order, and then they'll probably drop you off back home, and then in about an hour and a half or so, then your drugs will be ready. They'll go pick them up and then bring them back to the house. So that's pretty much it as far as what to expect going into the surgery. If you have any other things that you think that you experienced or a recommendation, then I just remembered something crucially important, and you're going to thank me later for this. But as you'll notice, I have a piece of gauze here, and this is actually at my request, because when they were putting the sling on, the sling is cutting into my neck. So I have a sling on this side, and then I have a strap on this side. So I get kind of that tightness feeling around my neck when there's things like, I don't like wearing like a tie or anything around my neck. So I'm very aware that there's something on my neck, and this sling was bothering the crap out of me. And this was just coming out of the surgery. So in fact, I'll show you right here. And you see how easy it was to take off this XXL X, 2, 3XL, sure. But all this is just a piece of gauze underneath, and it has, it's basically just a piece of gauze that goes over the strap. But this gauze is nice and soft and cushioned and padded, and you're going to be wearing this sling for the next week. So you might as well make it as comfortable as possible. So I highly, 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 highly recommend getting this piece of soft gauze to go underneath it, and it'll protect your neck from chafing, and it's not that sharp corner of the webbing digging into your neck all the time. The other thing too that I found as far as putting your clothes on is I put my arm through the sleeve, and then I find a hole. So I have my arm through the sleeve, and then I have my hand through the head hole. And then, because it's such a large shirt, what I'll do is I'll touch my hand to my head right here, and then I can just push it down, and it goes on pretty easy. And then you just kind of got to work it around. So it's not pretty, but it works. And that was my way of getting it to be easier. So anyways, hopefully this will give you a good preparation of what it's like to go into the surgery and what you can kind of expect, just because for me I didn't know. And in hindsight, I wish I had known better. Not that it would have really changed anything, but it would have taken away some of the anxiety I had going into the surgery. So anyways, I hope this helps. And like I said, if you got any suggestions or comments or things that happened to you that you think would help somebody else, by all means, put it in the comments below. Hopefully somebody will read it and they're like, wow, that was a great tip. So anyways, thanks for watching, and subscribe. I'm going to put up a few more of these videos in hopes that I can help somebody else. All right, thanks for watching.